We're moving to our reports, Chief Financial Officer's report. Scott,
Okay.
page 7, right?
Yep. I would like to highlight the January 2018 financials. If we could go to Board Book page 10 and look at the January 2018 monthly financial report. Revenues that came in for the month was approximately 1.8 million. The two largest revenue sources were real estate taxes and general state aid. Our expenditures for the month were roughly 1.84. Our highest expenditures are salary and benefits and purchase services. If we move to our financial statements, which start on page 11, that is tracking our revenue and our expenditures for all funds. On page 12, we're tracking revenue. If we look at the percentages compared to budget, we're tracking pretty nicely there, being that we are 7 months into this current fiscal year. Remember, the working cash on that one was the $3 million issued for the bond, so that one looks a little skewed. Same with the life safety. That was the life safety amendment number 22. If we move on to the next page, highlighting the expenditures and looking at the actual as a percentage of budget, we are tracking nicely in the expenditures. If you look at operations and maintenance, 79%. Remember, we paid our Airmark contract to get a discount with it. So if you look at the overall percentages, we're doing pretty good for the 7 months. Overall fund balance for the district, roughly 13 million and 13.3 million. Okay, moving on to the revenue expense report. There were questions submitted on, let's see, page 14 in Board Book under Education Levy Prior. The district received 2016 tax distributions from Cook County after June 30th, which is counted as prior year tax distributions for this current budget year. Cook County is not consistent with the release of tax distributions. The impact on prior year tax collection, that particular line item it's still unknown until we get final distributions to the end of the year. Although these funds are accrued into prior year tax distributions on the audit, the treasurer operates on a cash basis reflecting the over budget. Tax distributions collected in February and March will be applied to our current year tax distributions. I'm still anticipating the current year tax distributions to be around 98 to 100% of the budgeted item. If anticipated amounts come in, this should definitely help close the budget deficit gap.
So Scott, just so I'm clear, maybe to make this a little simpler, it's the second line on the top of page 14,
14,
correct?
yes.
You budgeted roughly 7.4 million,
Yes.
and we've already received 9 million.
Yes, 1.6 over.
Right, and that's in the unrealized category. And so how much of that is taxes after June 30th? We know we got
From last year.
from last year. We know we got like 600 and something
Yes, I can verify
just in
with the
July
auditor.
or in August, right?
Yes, there was a bunch of distributions in July, so I can verify the amounts with our auditor.
Yeah, I think it would just be helpful of how much was last year's money that came just after the June 30th, and then the other part would be to see was there any unrealized from this tax year, from this was the August payment, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice to see if we could break down how much is from the March payment that was late, and then the August payment? Because we get them in what, August and September, or March and September?
March and August.
March and August.
So one thing we talked about, you're gonna add another line to this for next year, right?
I'm working with the treasurer on that.
Hopefully, well, forget it. You could do it manually somehow, whatever, download it into
But
Excel.
I need to make sure that I'm accounting for the correct revenue amount that's coming in.
Yeah, the second part is, of the $1.6 million in the unrealized that we're over budget, according to this, $1 million came in this month. That wasn't for the prior year's assessment that carried over, right?
That probably would have been a late disbursement.
From
From the
March,
county.
or from the August payment?
from the August payment, though,
Yes.
from this year, though, right?
So I mean, if you just do that, you're talking a late payment of $1 million and the 600 we got right in July, that's your 1.6.
That's your 1.6.
But I think you should,
I can verify with
Okay.
Cook County Distribution and pull the details behind it.
And unless, and we won't know this as we're learning, if the county delays payment of the second assessment for the blank line that's the current, and it gets pushed into next year, right? That which could happen.
It could happen,
We
yes.
don't. We never know. But if that doesn't happen, we are going to be way over budget on our revenues,
The revenue,
right?
yes.
Okay.
but we would start seeing some of that 8.9 after March, correct?
Right.
It should be.
April 1st?
It should start coming in now.
Okay.
Because I was wondering if it's the other, and I should have put a note here. I'm sure, because we're all taxpayers, there was a lot of people who were paying their taxes for the second assessment before the end of the year because
To get
of
the-
the change in the tax, federal
Federal
taxation. So I'm wondering if we've got early funds for the second assessment, and that's why it's so high. You might want to check that,
Yeah,
too.
I can pull everything from the Cook County Treasurer.
Okay.
Keep going, Scott, you're doing fine.
And then on the revenue expense, there was also on board book page 39 under the capital projects fund. In this current budget was the tennis courts and parking lot only. The accounts that are over budget are the accounts used to pay the contractors their money the district was retaining from the various 2015 stadium projects. Final application has been submitted by Nicholas. We're verifying with DLA. Final payment on that, that should be coming in March to the board.
And we have that construction summary now, and so you're holding on that to give it so once everything's completely paid off.
Yes.
This
and
way
that
you
should
can
be coming in
reconcile
March.
them.
I want to just verify with the pay applications and all the different credits that were coming through, that it's matching up.
And just so the community understands, majority, if not all, the contractors that did the work in 2015 that put in the original bids on the tennis courts and parking lot did the adjusted work that came after the lawsuit in 2017.
Yes, they rebid it.
And not rebid it, but they
Rebid their-
resubmitted.
Resubmitted their pricing.
Right, rebid would be the
Yeah.
different They
Resubmitted
resubmitted pricing if there were any adjustments. And we retained some of their fees.
Yes, from,
From the original project until all that work was completed.
that is correct.
Right. Okay.
But again, because we work on a cash basis, and we hadn't paid for the two large items, the 350 last year. So we paid for them this year. So do we expect to hit the budget on the other items? We're actually gonna be like 350,000 over budget this year on this category or not?
That is what it's looking like. It's
Okay.
looking around that we have about 215,000 remaining on to pay out the contractors.
But that doesn't go, that's not part of our operating fund, right? So we
No,
don't
that's
get
Fund
the-
60.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to student activity accounts summary for January 2018. I believe there's only one or two negative accounts in there. We're working on trying to get those to have a positive balance. We'll continue to keep working on those with fundraising and different things to try to get those back to positive. Moving on to medical insurance update. At the last board meeting, I was asked to get additional cooperative rates and plans to see if anything would match our current existing plan that we have. I did get information from the Northern Illinois Health Insurance Program. another cooperative from Arthur Gallagher through the same broker that we currently have. They offer 3 very similar plans, but none of them were an exact match to what our current plan design is. The first self-insured provider review came through for HUD International. This is their exact words. They completed the review of our last 2 renewals from EBC. Overall review is EBC is providing rate stability, fair renewals based upon claims, and they're giving us access to Blue Cross Blue Shield. For now, it appears that the EBC is serving the group insurance needs in a fashion that would be difficult to beat year over year. Vista National, also a self-funded provider. They have all our information for the last 3 renewals that we have. They're still working on completing their review. I'm hoping to get the final findings this week.
Let's hold on our recommendation until you get the final findings,
Okay.
just in case something does change. We know it's unlikely, but let's be fair to them.
Okay. So please disregard my recommendation that is out there until I get the review findings from Vista National.
Okay.
Phone contract update. The district received 3 proposals from different telecommunication services for a 3-year service contract. The request for proposal was sent out to 7 different vendors and was advertised in the newspaper. We're currently conducting reference checks, and we'll be bringing a recommendation to the board in March. Update on the Proviso Township Treasurer. The Treasurer's Office did approve the contract to move from DCR to Infinite Visions. I'm highlighting the additional cost that it's going to go with the initial setup. It is a little pricey for the initial setup on it, and overall, Infinite Visions is going to be slightly higher than what DCR's annual cost is with it. Broken down is basically the initial setup cost, and then moving forward will be give or take. Our portion will be about $8,000, I believe, for Infinite Visions moving forward.
And what are we paying, do you have any idea what we pay a year now for our current accounting system?
It
Is it just
is-
buried in the other cost?
It's buried, yes, it's buried in the other cost, but Infinite Visions is roughly double what the current one is.
Okay.
But it's going to give us some more flexibility.
So our bills will roughly go to the treasurer's office from 63 to more like 71, 75?
Yeah, somewhere within that range.
And so the big year is this FY19?
FY19.
Okay.
And that concludes my financial report.
Is the budget under your financial report?
It is. It's a
All right, so
separate, it's
you're
a
not-
separate item.
Okay, well, okay, you're going to get jumping on that?
Oh,
then?
hold on,
Oh, I see if
since
there's
we took a
questions,
break.
okay.
Does anybody have any questions this way?